That'll do it. Hello. Hello. Very good. Talking. Aha, we're back.
So you've seen us talking, but we have not heard any of our voices.
All right, so welcome back to Team O'Neill. We're fiddling through this on a Friday afternoon. We apologize for the late start, mostly because most of northern New Hampshire is out of power right now. Just massive winds over last night and throughout today, so we actually had to shift. We're off-site. We're in Chris's house.
It's my wife's office, so we lifted and shifted. It's her closet back here with all of her clothes in it, so it's wherever we got to do it here. So yeah, we wanted to take some time to answer some of your questions, and also use this as a chance to get to know us and Wyatt a little bit more, about the YouTube channel. So I'll be managing the comments and feeding out Wyatt some questions here. And then we've got an email from Richard that we're going to kind of get things started off with here. He's got a 2008 Subaru Impreza, which him and his son are using for rallycross. He's got some panels that have removed themselves and wanted to know what he could do to kind of help fix that situation. He's really not looking to make it really faster at this point, but and things that are low cost that he could do to make his car a little better.
Subarus. The nice thing about most Subarus is that the fuel lines and the brake lines, not entirely sure about a 2008, but a lot of them for a long time ran inside the car. So that's one worry that you don't have to deal with a Subaru that you might find with other cars is your gas lines and your brake lines and stuff underneath. But definitely the oil pan underneath the engine. The easiest thing to do is just to get a skid plate, and there's a handful of different kind of aluminum skid plates that go underneath your motor that you can order online. That would be the number one thing, especially if you're driving to and from events. You know, I've driven to rallies with the rally car before, and you've got to go a little easy and finish the rally so that you can make it home with your car again. And it's just about making that underbody sort of bulletproof. So pretty good to go with a Subaru. Definitely get a skid plate under the engine. You can look at the fuel tank. That's another vulnerable part. But if you're just doing rallycross and you're looking out for the big rocks and bumps and stuff, that's probably pretty good to go. That is definitely a part of it, kind of driving to survive a little bit. If you've got a more stock standard vehicle and you do need to get it home, just picking smart lines and going a little easy and not taking every possible chance until you can get that underbody protection you need, and then you can go for it a little bit more.
Perfect. From John, do you need to turn off traction control to rally?
Yeah. For the most part, you're going to want to turn traction control off to go rally racing. And the biggest thing on pavement, you won't notice it so much, but when you get out on gravel or you get out in the mud or the snow or something like that, that's why most of those cars have buttons to turn the traction control off, because spinning the tires a little on gravel is actually going to chew away at that sort of slippery surface, whether it's pebbles or a little mud or whatever. Spinning the tires is a big advantage. Like if you did some 0 to 60 launches with traction control on, and then when you shut it off, you're going to notice your 0 to 60 times are going to be a lot quicker. And when you think about every single corner, you know, driving out of every single turn, having that little bit of wheel spin as you go and being able to manage that yourself is going to be a big advantage. You could rally with traction control. People do it. It's just you're not going to be as quick.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. We've got some good questions coming in here. Asterion asks, if you could drive only 3 rally cars for the rest of your life, what would they be and why?
3 rally cars?
Yeah.
Unlimited budget, Mark II Escort, just because it's rear-wheel drive and it weighs nothing and they're really fast and I can't afford one. And Audi Quattro Turbo 80s monster of some kind. And then like a brand new WRC Toyota, I don't know why. New WRC Toyota, old Mark II Escort, and an 80s Quattro.
That's pretty good. I would have to do a Mini. For me, like the 60s Mini Cooper.
Oh, a real Mini, an old Mini.
Yeah. One of the like original resurgence of rally in the world. Those Minis for me are pretty sweet. MG Drive, hi from Germany. Hello, we appreciate you being on with us. All right. Do you guys plan to make tarmac training videos? It's hard to find a good place for that.
It's difficult because, there's probably a lot of good information. I know there's a lot of good information out there about pavement racing for the most part. But kind of pavement rallying is definitely a different breed than, going to do a track day or doing track events. Pavement rallying is really pretty difficult because sometimes it is quicker to skid around corners. We get into this with the rally, but if you watch any pavement rallying, you'll see the cars are sliding around more than they are on the track because you just don't have that long to go. You're not worried about preserving the car. You're kind of going for ballistic full speed. And on real roads, you've got potholes and sandy parts and sketchy off-camber bits and just a lot of elements that nobody in their right mind would ever build into a track. So yeah, pavement training videos. What do you say, Chris?
I think for us, we're all about anything that's more on the extreme side, right? Usually. So if there's something fun, we're going to do some drift videos with our drift schools, and, it's probably, hitting the perfect apex every time. There's probably a lot out there, but if there's something more extreme or something that we can add that's more on the edge, that's probably where we would come in with some content. So you guys commenting, giving us more of your feedback, what you want to see, helps curate our video series here. So I think that's gonna play a big factor.
That's probably the answer, is if enough people ask for it and enough of you guys want to see that, we'll go in that direction, because that's really how we look at this channel. Hey, I look at it every week as we go through, and which videos do well, which don't, what are the comments, what do people want to see. Every once in a while I go out on a limb and go start a fire with some Jeeps or whatever, but other than that, you guys are really directing this channel towards where you want to go, and if it's, going ballistic on pavement somewhere, we could probably make that happen.
Perfect. Finn wants to know studded versus studless snow tires.
If you have the opportunity, the thing about studless tires is a studless ice tire, like a Blizzak or an X-Ice or something like that, has a very specific pattern, and a studless ice tire has all of that siping, and you can look at the tread pattern of a Blizzak or an X-Ice or any of those. Nokian makes some fantastic ones. Yokohama makes some great ice tires. They don't work as well in deep snow. The nice thing about studded tires is you can take a really good snow tire and just put studs in them. So there is a more tread gaps. It's more directional to expel the slush. A tire that functions well on the snow that you just put studs in is going to be really good. Whereas a studless tire for the ice is going to be pretty darn good. And on packed hard surfaces, it's good. But in deeper snow and slush, the more open tread patterns you find with snow tires are a little better. So up here in New Hampshire, we're allowed to have studded tires. So my street car, I've got a directional snow focused tire with studs, so it does really well at both. If you don't have that opportunity, there are a lot of really good studless tires, but they're a little bit of a compromise, but not really much. These days, the compounds and some of the stuff that they're doing with these tires is pretty magical. So they're really, really good still.
Guys, you guys have got some really great questions here, so I'm just trying to filter
I'll
through.
go faster.
No, we got a lot here. So let's talk about. Someone asked, what about electronic parking brakes, or why are cars now being made with electronic parking brakes, and some of your thoughts on that electronic parking brake?
You can probably guess how we feel about the electronic parking brakes. It's kind of like the same as the lane departure warnings and the automatic parallel stuff. And it's just the manufacturers don't think that people are out there doing handbrake turns. So they're making it more convenient for people who park their car to go to the supermarket. Oh, we'll push the little button instead of pulling on a lever and hearing this ratchet noise and having to stomp on a parking brake pedal or something like that. They're trying to make it more convenient for the probably 99% of people who aren't doing handbrake turns. But yeah, we hate them. And if you have a car like that, you don't have a lot of options. You're going to have to retrofit, if you want to go rallying, obviously, some kind of a handbrake. Typically, we install hydraulic handbrakes. But yeah, no, the electronic, how do you...
Yeah, it's, it's just more of the modern technology and, the rules of political rules that are getting more and more ingrained in the auto manufacturers. So
Yeah.
it's a convenience thing that, I think the true automotive enthusiasts, everything our channel is about, a lot of auto manufacturers are definitely steering away from a little bit. But you still have the Ford Performances and the Toyota TRDs, and there's the hardcore parts of manufacturers that still appreciate us, those out there, manual transmission and all that good stuff. So we're trying to keep it there though, for sure. Here's a good one. So you, Wyatt, did you ever get sponsors during your early days in rally, and kind of talk a little bit about your early days of rally yourself?
So getting into rally, kind of myself, and spitting that into, what can you do if you're out there trying. I was really lucky because back when I started getting into it, I was racing some Volkswagens and some other stuff, and then Mazda has a really good contingency program for grassroots racing. And it's still active, and I still know some of the good folks at the Mazda Speed Motorsports. And if you have a Mazda, say you go buy an old RX-7 rally car, turn it into a rally car, whatever it might be, there's a contingency program. And you go fill out the form, and there's a little bit of paperwork. But if you go do a rally, after that, you submit the finishing results to them, and they literally write you a check. And when the first season, and the only real season I did the whole series with the Mazda Speed 3 and I won the championship, their payout was actually pretty significant for that. They changed it the next year, so they lowered it. But I got lucky, maybe it was a typo on their end or something, but I did okay racing a Mazda just because of that Mazda Speed contingency. But that is still active, and it's not just for the Spec Miata stuff and all of that. If you're going to do hill climbs, or you're going to do rally, or even rallycross and some of that, Mazda does pay out. Ford had a program like that, and Subaru has a program. You probably know more.
Yeah, it comes and goes, right? So you just try to keep up and pay attention. That's can be the hard thing if you're building a car for a year, expecting a contingency program to be there, and then it disappears. I spend a lot of time on the business side of things. There's a lot of ways someone can go rallying, but I think it's the small businesses that you're already probably going to in your local area that you can work with to get some money. The contingency program definitely can help, but there's a lot of ways to go out and get sponsors. And the biggest suggestion I always have for somebody starting off is think about if a local coffee shop had a $2,000 marketing budget. How could you prove to them that you could bring in more than $2,000 worth of marketing for them, and ask them to be part of your racing program? So that's a much deeper thing we can build some videos on and go way down that rabbit hole. But I think that, try to be creative. For me, if you look at what Ken Block did, right, extremely creative, and found a whole different way to pay for a race program, right? He was independently wealthy, but his still goal was to use what he was doing with Gymkhana and all the other media house that he created around rallying to pay for him to go rallying racing. So that's the most extreme example of somebody, being extremely creative, I think.
Yeah, if you go to a rally, there's probably only 2 people there that are profiting. And then there's maybe 6 or 8 that are breaking even. And that's kind of always was my goal, was breaking even. So if I could get, half off tires for putting a sticker on the car, we were doing it. If I could get fuel somehow, we were going to do it. Brake pads, whatever it might be. Getting some of those little programs, not necessarily for, hey, here's $500, but hey, I can get you 6 tires for a smoking deal if you do whatever. Trying to break even and having that mindset is really good. Because, if you're trying to make a real career and profit off the thing, it's pretty highly unlikely from the get-go.
Yeah, perfect. Hey, ACP, thanks for being on. Appreciate you giving us some feedback.
What's up?
Help answer some of our questions.
How's it going?
You're extremely knowledgeable, so you probably know a lot more about some of this stuff than we do. So nice to see you, bud. We should get you back out. It's been a little while. So I saw your little Hoonigan video there. That was pretty good too. So congrats on all your success and everything going on. Let's see here. So we got some good feedback on the e-brakes. Yeah, cost for the manufacturers. It's probably makes sense that they're going that way for a cost reason.
Yep.
All right. I'm just trying to find the next good question. I appreciate the education value on what Team NL does. Someone puts it into U.S. driver education, knowing what other cars can. All right, so just some good feedback. You guys are appreciating the channel. Appreciate that. Do you have any tips for leave no trace in off-roading? Like how to be the best?
Yeah.
How to be the best.
There's a lot of stuff, and you see a lot of trails around New England here where we are getting closed and shut down, and landowners are not allowing Jeeps and ATVs and UTVs and dirt bikes and all this stuff on their property anymore, because there's kind of a certain type of off-roader that likes to just spin and thrash and kick rocks and mud and drive on the worst parts of the trail and get stuck and throw beer cans and just cause a huge problem. And yeah, the leave no trace idea is kind of something that we advocate for, because a lot of the off-roading that we do has a bit of a convoy mindset to it. It's not just me out there thrashing through the woods. Hey, we've got to get 6 or 8 vehicles through this section of trail. And if the first 2 guys destroy it, the last guy is going to have to winch through it, and we're going to be there all day. So the number one thing is just, put it in 4-wheel drive, put it in 4-low before you really maybe need it. A lot of people try to get through in 2-wheel drive, and, sticking it in 4-wheel drive is like, defeat for them. And it's just not how it is. Get it in 4-drive, get it in 4-low, do what you need to do, and airing down. Street pressure in the mud and even on wet leaves and grass and stuff like that. If you're driving across your lawn and you got to go pull a rock or whatever it might be, put it in 4-low and air down, and just, leave the windows open and listen to the tires and turn your stuff off, and you can hear and feel what's going on and creep your way through stuff. And it's a lot easier on the trail. It's the leave no trace thing of, hey, you can drive a bunch of vehicles through a trail and it looks like, okay, the grass is muddled over, but it's no big deal. And it's way easier on your vehicle.
Ekamo, yeah, you said if you're asking about leave no trace, you're probably not the problem. So that's a great little statement there. For me too, every time I'm out there just trying to pick up a little bit more after someone else or fix someone else. In 4-wheeling, we have tree straps for a reason, right? So try not, if you're winch situations, don't winch around the tree.
Steel cables and chains and stuff, and
just best practices that already kind of exist. So just following those rules, which we're going to try to do some more videos on stuff like that here soon as well.
I know a lot of the national parks out west, I'm not super educated about it, but I saw something quickly there. And letting fewer and fewer, HRV recreation in some of the national parks out west, which is too bad. But probably a big reason for it is, the terrain's getting destroyed and it's an eyesore for anybody else to go.
Jack Harrison, I'm 17 years old and I've been getting into some regional rallies next year. Currently aiming to purchase an older Fiesta R2 to run regional rallies. Would you say this car is too fast?
I read ahead and I like it.
It's a good question, Jack.
It's not too fast right out of the box. An R2, at the end of the day, it's only 180, 200 horsepower. There are the older ones, and then there's the R2T.
Yeah.
So some of the particulars on
an older R2 is definitely a little slower, which definitely is reasonable for a new driver.
Yeah.
You just are not going to drive that car to its full capability at your first rally and finish.
So there's some of the R2s are the 1.6 liter normally aspirated motor, and some of the R2s, the R2T, is the 1 liter turbo, which even though it's only 1 liter and the motor's about that big, it is pretty quick with everything that M Sport has done to it with ECU and all the other stuff. Either way, they're still right around 200 horsepower. So, if you can drive a Fiesta ST without killing yourself, you're going to do fine in an R2. The really nice thing about an R2 from the perspective of your own professional development as a driver is the R2, hey, it's a sequential transmission, it's got flat shift, it's got modern dampers, it's all adjustable suspension with the Rigers. You can change all of your settings and you learn all of that stuff which is going to be like drinking from a fire hose initially. But if you're practicing and training and testing and adjusting your suspension, and you change your rebound and your compression and your alignment a little and your tire pressures and the sequential, and you're learning a lot of these games where if you just have a stock Fiesta with the regular transmission and bolt-in dampers, you're going to be behind the curve when you get into something with the adjustable suspension and sequential transmissions and all of that stuff. It is going to be a little expensive to run event by event. And again, Chris can probably defer to, the cost of running an R2 for a season, because they are kind of built to the max. Parts do wear out, and their lifetime on parts is somewhat short compared to stock.
For sure, yeah. No, the running costs of an R2 are exponentially higher compared to even just an R1, because you are playing with some of the best stuff, and so you start to push the limits of that best stuff, and then it breaks, and so you have to replace the high value suspension if you have an incident, and as a new driver, your chances of an incident are pretty high. So, just kind of playing that game, and it's a budget. Racing's always a budget versus, reality situation. So, yeah, we see a lot of new drivers, and the average lifespan of a new rally driver is about 2 rallies, because the realization of the costs and the time and all the other things that you have to realize if you want to go racing. So that's kind of why we built the 5-day school, why Tim really built the 5-day school. Yeah. He wanted to take 30 years of rally knowledge and in 5 days teach a new driver enough so he could keep finishing rallies and come back and keep doing rallies more and more. And that's kind of a lot of why Team O'Neill exists, is Tim was super motivated to help these novice drivers, right? And you helped build the curriculum and get us to that point.
Yep. Yeah, that's like he said, most drivers will get their rally license and a rally car and do 2 or 2 point something rallies before the car stays unused in the garage and gets sold a few years later, and they never go back to it. Where, hey, if you can rent a car or get a cheaper car and go do one and work your way up, there's a lot to be said for that. And there's a lot to be said for, other ways of getting seat time. You might love skiing, but you might not want to enter ski competitions all the time. Or, I like mountain biking, but I'm not about to go enter a mountain biking competition. So, that's another reason that the rally school's there, is, you can come through and take different courses and do all this driving and have pros ride with you. And there's, other schools around the country, and you can go out on pavement and do the same thing. And we've got, there's a lot of people that come through the rally school that might probably not go racing, but they love driving and they're killer drivers, and they go, they have driving hobbies other than actual competition.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's stage rally's hard to practice, so it's something that, so we definitely, part of why Tim built the school as well. He wanted a place that he could play and not be having to do anything dangerous.
Yeah.
Hey, Karen. Hey, Jacoby. How's it going? Appreciate you guys being on the channel. ACP, you should have a versus video with you and Tim in like the same car. Do that.
I'd have to let him win.
The old man.
Yeah. Get him out of retirement. Yeah, he would. He'd beat me. It'd be a short video.
Let's see here. Gonna do summer Willett Rally with WRX for a baseline.
We could.
I've seen a few comments of that.
That's come up a couple times. We've thought of it. The thing is, with that WRX that we did use even in the winter, it is one of the rally school cars. It's got a roll cage. You can follow some of the comments on that video. It's not actually even as stock as I thought it was. And, we can get away from the street stock vehicles for Willett Rally, but that one is a little bit of a stretch. It has some modifications. It's got suspension, and it's got some go fast parts on it. We could, if we did a WRX, I'd like to find a stock WRX, but I don't know. What do you think?
Well, we'll keep thinking about it, and it's something that if we get a little gap in filming and we need something, that's probably one of the things we would easily be able to just turn the key, for a better term, to be able to just try it out and see where we're at. But yeah, we definitely are looking to do more Willett Rally videos, so keep looking for that from us. One of the big things we're debating and we could use your input on is the season series set or the individual videos as we get them. So we'd love to hear in the comment section what you guys think, if we should kind of keep the series and do 10 videos week after week, or should we just keep rolling them out as we film them and get them out to you sooner. So we'd love that input.
Yeah, it was sort of the very end of last winter. Essentially, those first 6 episodes of Will It Rally, we filmed in about a week and a half. And so there's pros and cons to that. And if you guys like that season format, we can save up, 6 or 8 or 10 of them and then drop them. Or if you like to see them just come out as we have the time and we can get to them, we're happy to do that as well.
DMB 9900. What do you think Rally Sims? What do you think of Rally Sims? Just for fun or any good practice?
I haven't played some of the latest iterations. I will say I've seen a lot of really good rally drivers, guys that can beat me out there, get behind the wheel and just can't make it around the corner in the Sims. And I've seen a lot of folks that are really good at them, come out and struggle in real cars. Is that the settings, and can you get in some of those menus and dial it in and get some practice? Probably. But I guess it doesn't translate directly. There's a lot going on in a car. It's a different feel and movement sensation, and it's not perfect yet. They're getting pretty good. But like I said, a lot of rally drivers struggle on the Sims, and a lot of sim drivers struggle in real cars, and that's probably not just a coincidence.
Blizzy Bandit loves to see the videos. Would love to see a Grand Cherokee ZJ V8. Her and her boyfriend watch all of our videos, so we appreciate it. Thank you so much. ACP says the physics still aren't good enough on the Rally Sims.
Yeah, he's terrible. I'm the same. I crash constantly, but they're getting better. In a few years, who knows? And especially, we've tried some of the ones on actual movement platforms that pitch and yaw and turn and steer and do things, and those are really good. But that's obviously not what people have in their bedrooms with the wheel and the pedals. So.
Prototype SMG, what are your thoughts on the Baja 1000? Definitely not cars, but trucks. Opinions on the length of the drive, extended extreme conditions, badass, or boredom?
It's hardcore. It's really the Baja 1000, so every other year they change the course. One year it's a loop, and sort of you start in Ensenada and loop back up to Ensenada, and then the next year it goes from Ensenada all the way down towards Cabo. I've been down there a few times. I've been a mechanic at the Baja 1000. I've pre-run the course before. We took a truck and just went for a week and ran the course and camped out on the beach. It's really cool. The budget to get into the Baja 1000 type stuff, I guess if you live in San Diego and you can get one of those old air-cooled Beetles with the mean suspension and get geared up and do class 11 or whatever it is, there's affordable ways to do it. But generally, it's pretty expensive to get into, especially if you've got trophy truck dreams or the class 1 buggies and the V8 stuff. A lot of those teams have private helicopters with spare parts, and they've got a half dozen trucks leapfrogging in front of them with fuel and spare tires and the infrastructure.
Yeah, and for me though, as a business guy, I think the big difference though between that and rally is that has got a huge following, right? So
true.
You can actually get some serious money. It is a serious expense, but you can actually potentially use that as a better leapfrog position to try to get some big dollar sponsors if you've got marketing down and understand business and are going that path. That for me is one of the big advantages I think that off-road desert truck racing has right now in the U.S. is, we're just a country built on a grid system, point to point, and we can go a straight line through the desert in this massive, truck. It's kind of where our normal daily driver stuff is right now.
We're tough to ask. We train a lot of the Baja 1000 guys, and it's tricky for us because we're all the way up here in New Hampshire. So, we're next to between Vermont and Maine. If you don't know where Haina, New Hampshire is, we're as far as you can get away from the desert racing scene and still be in America. if we were in Southern California,
Yeah.
we'd probably have a half dozen trophy trucks parked outside, and we'd be all
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
It's even just rallying in America is so difficult for people because the American rally season is what? Maine, Pennsylvania, Oregon, Washington, Michigan.
Yeah, the tow costs alone, and we've been to Europe and talked to the rally
Yeah.
drivers in Europe, and they're like, how long? They
Yeah.
they have no idea, and to rent a rally car in the U.S. is so much more than Europe because of the tow costs.
Just
And-
the towing and having somebody towing that vehicle from New England to Oregon, and then back to New England, and then to Michigan and Pennsylvania, and it's $10,000 a year just to tow to all the events, just
Yeah.
in diesel fuel and
At
Motel
least.
6 rooms.
Yeah, and then if it's a big enough rig, you need a CDL driver, and for us as a corp business,
Yeah.
it's definitely massive cost. So, yeah, definitely just an interesting difference, though, for sure.
Yeah, and if you're getting into it, don't let that sort of put you off. There are great regional series.
Yeah,
if you're in
totally.
Colorado, you can probably do
If you're-
6 rallies within a few hours of yourself. Just
Yeah.
get into those regional things and don't
Yeah.
stress out
And
about
that's
what I
what
just said.
ARA has done a good job of kind of bringing a lot of the rallies together, and so you can have 5 or 6 events in the regions now finally, which has been years since we've.
It's scheduled in a smarter way. So, a lot of teams from New Hampshire, if you're going to go to Washington, you don't have to tow to Washington and then back for 3 months and then go to Oregon. You can leave it out west and, do different things. And there's better ways of doing it.
MG Drive wants to know when your next whiteboard theory video is going to be.
If we had a whiteboard, we could do one right now.
Just go right into it.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, what do you guys want to hear? What do you
Yeah.
want? What do you want Wyatt to break down? And I think maybe this would be a good time to talk about the reason you did the YouTube channel. Wyatt had been an instructor and lead instructor at Team O'Neill for a long time and had to do 2 to 12 students a week, and you really had the passion to get your knowledge out to a bigger audience, right?
Yeah. I mean, teaching, if you haven't taught, it's incredibly rewarding. If you can help somebody and watch them get better at things, and especially, tactile skills, not teaching someone, European history, but, hey, this is how you do whatever, and they get good at it and go away and use that in their life and get better at it. It's a lot of fun. I don't know why. I really enjoy it. And yeah, being at the rally school, we get to teach a couple hundred people a year, and that's great. But being able now with YouTube, we got really lucky as, this platform is growing to be able to reach so many folks and answer questions and do things like this that we're doing today. It's kind of, we're all teachers, and there's, a dozen instructors at the rally school that are doing real work, and I'm just, sitting here talking to a camera, but
We still make it get out there.
I do it sometimes, yeah.
Perfect. So Ace Fighter Pilot, what makes a rally mechanic?
Oh, rally mechanic. To be a rally mechanic, essentially you just need to be a decent mechanic baseline already and have a good understanding of all the different systems and how it works. But really, it's improvisational, kind of in the dark, and everything's soaking wet, and you've got 20 minutes to fix a control arm that's just smashed and bent up into the frame and pound the body out so it clears the wheel again. We see a lot of guys that get out of the military that are good at it and gung-ho, and whatever it takes to get this thing back out there, we're going to do it. A lot of times, rally mechanics, a lot of it's really boring where the car's out and you're killing time and you're taking a nap and doing whatever, but then when the car pulls in, you got to jump on it and do whatever needs doing as quickly as you can a lot of the time. Then sometimes it's, hey, there's an overnight service where the car comes back and it's rolled over and the thing's destroyed, and you stay up all night and do what you can and figure it all out and find parts and make parts and cut pieces off and hammer stuff out and make it happen. And it's like being a racing mechanic, except that failure is not an option.
I think, it's like a fully capable junkyard mechanic with an engineer.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah.
you have to
That.
be able to thrash and crash and get through it, and then you got to have the mindset of understanding how the system works. So, if you only have 20 minutes, that can not go out and this can stop. And one of our instructors is also a mechanic on the Subaru Rally team, and he had a service with one of the cars, and they had to not let it go out with a brake, one of the brakes working, because they had to fix something that was more important component, and he just understood the system enough to say, okay, I know that it can leave without that because I only have the amount of time that I've got. And you have to be knowledgeable enough to know the system, but just junkyard mechanic enough to just get it done.
And most of the time, as you get into bigger teams, there is more of a sort of crew chief type person, and then each of the mechanics has a wheel. So you've got a corner. And so when the car pulls in, you're the right front guy, and I'm the left rear guy, and he's the left front guy, and you know, Carl's our mechanic crew chief. And when the car pulls in, we each jump to our little deal, and if something major happens, it's sort of following orders and understanding the whole rank system and getting through. But yeah, it's just tricky and it's a lot of work.
Let's see. Your first rally. So Noah's building his first rally car. Do you recommend a Fiesta or an Impreza? And also resources, kits, parts, and where would someone find something like that?
Fiesta or a Subaru? Man, if you've driven both, you have a personal preference. Fiestas are fantastic. Subarus, especially if you get into the more base model ones, are also fantastic beginners cars. Either way you go, there's a ton of spare parts available. What do you think? You've seen more.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the way our model of the rally school works, even, we're always suggesting front wheel drive first. If you have a choice and you're a new rally car driver, we try to always push front wheel drive first. That being said, the reality is that the Subaru platform is the best supported platform in this country, no questions. So from a rally cost perspective, if you kind of see this as your only investment in rally and you never see yourself growing outside of one vehicle and this is kind of your one shot, you might lean towards a 2000 to a 2005 Subaru with a million parts available and do your regional rallies and get that out of your system. But if your goal is to become a champion rally car driver, you have to start in front wheel drive first, right? So that's always my first question when I work with a new customer is, what is your ultimate goal? And that can help decide what the right platform would be for you to get into. But yeah, if you look at the best European rally car drivers in the world and there's what has existed, it's everyone started in front wheel drive first and learned how to drive a slow car fast before you get into a fast car.
America is sort of the Wild West for rally, literally, because you can get in as a novice driver and go drive whatever the heck car you want, and there you go, good luck to you. Where in Europe it is a lot more structured, just like it has a more structured licensing system. And hey, you get your motorcycle license in England and you can only have up to a 250cc motorcycle for a year until you prove you can't kill yourself, and then you can have a 500. And it's the same with the racing sanctioning, where you've got to have the small go-kart or the little rally car, the R1 class cars or whatever, and pretty stock, two-wheel drive. It's cheap to run. You can do a lot of events with it. They're pretty easy to work on, honestly, because you don't have a lot of weird aftermarket componentry. And a stock two-wheel drive Fiesta, it does give you all of the skills that you need to go really, really fast. If you can be really quick with, even a Volkswagen Golf or whatever, you can be really fast with a front-wheel drive car. When you get into that open class car, whatever it might be, you're going to be light speed.
Perfect. So yeah, we're 40 minutes in. We'll take a few more questions here if you have them. So throw them in the comment section. Any other comments or anything you wanted to, why did we do this? What's kind of our thought process? What's the future for our channel here?
Yeah, that's kind of why we're here. You guys are driving the direction of this channel. Like I said before, every once in a while I go out on a whim and make a wacky video or try and steer it in a fun direction that I get a kick out of. But really, we like to compile, hey, what are most of the comments? What are people asking for? What do people kind of want to see more of? How do we grow this channel, but get you guys that content so that you guys are getting to watch the content that you want to watch. So please, as you're watching different videos and doing different things, add it in the comments. We might not reply to every single comment, but we're looking at them. And we've got kind of a spreadsheet and a good idea of, hey, what our next couple videos are and what are some of the ones that people have been asking for a long time. We got to make the driving on two wheels video still.
Ooh,
It's a bunch of people keep asking for that one.
If you keep asking, it'll come eventually.
We'll do it. But yeah, that's it.
JE, do you have a center diff disconnect for handbrakes on all-wheel drive cars or older all-wheel drive cars?
Yes. There's not a lot of aftermarket ones. I think Cusco makes one. But yeah, that's what most of the more open class Subarus are running, is a kind of a plate type center differential that's locked. But it does have a switch that when you pull the handbrake, it opens that center diff. If you look online, you should be able to figure out what they are. There are different ones available. You know, the STI, the stock Subaru STI transmission does that. And a lot of people do run that stock STI transmission. But when you get into the sequentials, which is Sadev and Samsonis or something, I think Sadev is the biggest one, that will come with that type of setup if you option it out. So that's the same, like Sadev makes our two transmissions, but they also make, everything you see Ken Block running from, his GRC cars through the Unicorn and all that stuff is all Sadev transmissions. And they do a lot of road race stuff and all that. So sequentials, and that'll have a electronic center diff disconnect.
Yeah, perfect. So Warren, man, do you need to upgrade to the newest Fiesta? I'm assuming if you're building you're building a rally car. So one thing to keep in mind, M Sport is going to stop, or I believe has already stopped supporting anything but R2Ts. So you actually cannot buy a full R2 package for a non-turboed 1-liter Fiesta anymore. Our partners can help you build a Fiesta rally car to an R2 spec, but the whole M Sport R2 Fiesta, actually, you need the 1-liter turboed if you're going to do anything new. So keep that in mind and make sure you either send us an email and we'll get you the right answers on that. But it's something to keep in mind if you're going to look at building a new Fiesta rally car. DeWardo 5, can't wait for more taco videos. We're talking about doing some more stuff with the Toyota there, so should be good.
Let's just say it's in the shop right now.
Perfect. Well, you guys, thank you so much for all the questions. I think this is, went as well as it could for the situation we had. Sorry for the technical difficulty to start. And we're in the middle of a little storm here, and you're in my house with me here because it's the only place that had internet up here in New Hampshire. So we appreciate it, and I don't know anything else in closing.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, as always, for watching. Add in any ideas for any of this stuff. As you want to see more videos in the future, it's about to get snowy up here. We're late fall already. Yesterday was Halloween up here in New England, so it's gorgeous, but pretty soon it's going to be snowing, which is our favorite time of year. So we can get into some more crazy stuff in the wintertime.
Cool. So this is going to be awkward because we have to go all the way over there and turn this off while we're on live.
Bogey. We've got a guy crawling under the camera.
Filling some dead air here as we go. And we appreciate everything.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye.